Thoughts?
I'm just proud of our guys. You know, we're well represented, well deserved. Really impressed with Owen Freeman, obviously being Rookie of the Year, and you know, obviously Tony and Peyton and Owen, you know, getting recognition for all conference. Proud of those guys.
And when did you realize that Owen could have this type of freshman season? Obviously, you recruited him, watching him only a lot, but when did you maybe?
Well, you know, we recruited him as an impact player, and you know, when he committed to us, we were really excited. Felt very comfortable at that time that he was going to be immediately impactful. And then, you know, like I've said before, in the summer when we started practicing, it was, well, you could see it last year. He had an unbelievable senior year and then a great summer, a great trip overseas. So not surprised.
Has there been anything about his game that has surprised you in his first season in terms of development?
No, you know, he always had a skill set that translates well to this level at his size. He's got a great demeanor about him in terms of work ethic and preparation, very mature young guy. That's sometimes the hardest part, is adjusting to the next level, but he's done that extremely well.
And I know it's cliche to say the sky's the limit for Owen, but there's more there. Can you talk about that? Because I think he just really is the star.
He can shoot the ball, and I think that's the next step for him. You know, facing up at 17 feet, picking and popping, shooting threes. You know, we'll work with him on that, and that will definitely help him, you know, with his pro career down the road.
You talked about after the Illinois game needing to be better rebounding. How much of that is effort, and how much is that? What else can you do to get guys to rebound better?
You know, offensive rebounding is really, well, two things. It's effort and instincts. You have to have a sense, okay, it's a three, it's coming long, you know, it's a floater, maybe it's coming a little short. If it's coming from the left, it's probably gonna end up on the right. And you just gotta you gotta go every time. And that was what was disappointing about that, you know. Clearly we struggled early. We missed our first 11 shots. So, you know, at some point you gotta say, we gotta go back and get some. Put them back in there, so we'll be better.
What's different about Ohio State, other than coaching? Obviously, they've won 5 of the last 6, I think.
Yeah, they had some young guys progress. As you know, I think Royal and Middleton are really good players. And they knew they were really good players, but early on, they weren't playing as much. They're playing a fair amount. They played more. And they're not playing like freshmen, those two guys. So that's been impressive. You know, they were a relatively young team when you look at rosters today. And so I think all of those guys, whether it be the freshman or the sophomore class, you know, has developed throughout the course of the season. You know, when they were losing, you know, they weren't getting drilled. You know, they were losing close games, and now they're winning games, you know, sometimes by a decent amount. So I think you looked at that roster coming into the season and felt like they would, you know, be one of the better teams in our league.
What happens with players? I mean, they lose their coach, the guy who presumably brought all of them in, and things aren't going well, and instead of going in the tank, they go the opposite direction.
Yeah. You know, like I said, they weren't that far off. You know, I think it was a little surprising. You know, Jake's done a fabulous job. We got to give him credit. You know, the staff stayed together. You know, they haven't changed a whole lot in terms of what they're doing offensively, what they're doing defensively. But, you know, like I said, you know, when I watched that team play, we beat them by 2. It wasn't like we beat them by 20. You know, that was a good team that we beat at that time. You know, they lost some games and, you know, obviously made the decision to make the move. Those kids, I think, you know, you look at, you know, Battle and Zed Key, these are veteran guys. You know, Thornton's one of the best players in our league. Roddy Gale's tremendous. I mean, they have a really good roster. And, you know, everybody's seeing it now.
Can you recall when you guys won the whole thing 2022? Just what did you feel like went well during that stretch to allow you to do that?
we had, I think, we had a talented roster with some veteran guys that knew and understood how to win. So we played the game the right way. You know, you're gonna be in close games when you go to tournament play. We knew how to play close games and win close games. The first game, we played extremely well, that helped. And, you know, won that one pretty handily. But after that, you knew it was gonna be what it was. So, just, you go down there with a plan and you trust your guys to do what they've always done. You know, Bohannon was running the show and Keegan set the record, and that's hard to do.
For guys like Patrick and Peyton who were around for that run, Tony, how valuable is that this time around?
Well, they've been through it. You know, they won the whole thing, and then last year we lost in the first round in a very close game. So they kind of know and understand what it's going to be like, and hopefully they can convey some of that to the younger guys.
With the NCAA tournament bubble, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of pressure. A lot of talk of this team has to win or this team can't lose. I'm assuming you don't want your guys to buy into that kind of thing. You just want them to play it as if it's a game and they're trying to win. But what's the best way to get them out of that mentality and into the mentality of the town?
You know, I think it's inevitable with all the talk. The thing that really bothers me is when they're talking that way in November. We've all talked about that before. You know, it's understandable that talk would be going on now because you have a body of work to evaluate. And there's going to be winning streaks and losing streaks for most teams. We prepare the same way no matter what the circumstances are. That's how we've always done it, and that's how we'll do it this week.
I'm curious, the tournament's gonna change a different format next year. Do you like that the 3 teams are gonna be left out?
No, I do not like that at all.
I didn't think you would.
I don't think anybody does. I'm sure there were reasons for it. Decisions were made at the conference level. Don't agree with it.
You mentioned Jordan Bohannon, the shot against Indiana. Just what all do you remember about that?
Well, I was thinking about calling a timeout, so it's a good thing I didn't do that. You know, sometimes he was one of the greatest clutch players I've ever been associated with. So you kind of let him go. The play that we drew up didn't work, and that's where you need guys that make plays in those situations. I was really proud of him for doing that.
We talked a lot about Owen when the